Okay, guys. Hello, everyone. This is our first live in our channel Esentaxa. This live, we are going to talk about the news about the taxes in Italy in 2023. As you may know, the camera is there. I'll watch you there, guys. As you may know, Italy actually changed the government, and we would like to know what's going to happen with all our tax schemes, tax benefits that we normally discuss in this channel. We are quite concerned. Well, we would like to know about the fourth regime, the impotent regime, the flat tax for high net worth individuals, the flat tax for pensioners. Actually, we would like to understand, try to read in the newspapers, the Italian newspapers, what is the direction of this new government. First of all, we have to say that that we are not going to here to analyze the political situation of Italy. We are not even talk and discuss about which political party we support. This is not the purpose of the channel. We actually want to understand if this government, this new coalition that won the election, is intended to reduce the taxes or rise them up. So historically, the right party, because this is a government on the right side in the parliament, is always focused on always proposing to reduce taxes. So this is a good news. The left party normally are always the one that try to raise up the taxes, and this not seems to be the cases. But from the other hand, we are in a critical situation from geopolitical point of view. We have the war ongoing in Ukraine. We have the issues with the gas and energy prices. So we have just came out from the pandemic. So basically, the economical situation cannot really guarantee a lot of margin of maneuverment, margin of budget for the Italian state. So that's for sure. So we do not expect to have big change for the next year. This is the feeling. Now, it's true that this government is trying to reduce taxes. They always in the electoral campaign, they try to convince people to vote for them because they want us to promote flat taxes. And actually, the first news, which might be quite interesting, could be a change on the forfeit regime. So the forfeit regime is the forfeit cost deductibility regime. Basically, we have in Italy. So actually, we are able to deduct our cost as a forfeit cost. So the state give you like a percentage of cost that you don't really have. I mean, it's just a percentage based on your type of activity. And after having deduct those costs, can be 22% of your revenue, can be 50% of the revenue. So again, it depends on your code activity. After having deduct your forfeit cost, you apply the taxation of 5%. So this is a quite interesting regime. It's called the forfeit regime. In Italian is the regime forfettario. And actually, it's very nice. Everything can be managed online. All the accountability is very easy. There is no VAT to be added at your invoices, either for internal clients in Italy and, of course, for externals. So either for B2B and B2C businesses. And this regime is very comfortable, but it has a threshold of 65,000 euro per year. So if you pass this threshold, you can keep this regime in the current year. So based on this government, the news might be the following. They would like to extend this threshold up to 85,000 euro for the 2023 or 100,000. So these are the two propositions. Let's see which one could be the most realistic according to the budget, according what Italy has in terms of a possibility of budget, because they have to also always deal with the European Union budget check, and with the debt, because Italy is a country with a huge debt, public debt. So they cannot exaggerate in terms of reducing taxes, but this can be a good point because they can stimulate small enterprises small people, freelancer, to build up their business. So up to 100,000 euro could be a very nice option. And this another option as a proposition could be, even if you pass the 65,000 euro per year, you can stay in this regime for 2 following years, and then you're obliged to exit it. So you're obliged to move to the ordinary one, which is more taxed. But you can stay other 2 years with the forfeit regime. So basically, for the current year, the following year, and for the next following year, so for 3 consecutive years, minimum, you can earn as much as you want and pay this 5% flat tax. So as you can see, it could be a very, very interesting regime. Of course, the flat tax of 5%, as you know, changes after 5 years. It becomes 15%, but still, it's a very manageable fiscal pressure. It's not so big. So this is the big question. We were going to. I see people already connecting. We are going to. I'm going to reply to your questions, guys. I will just go through the news about this Italian government, possible news. So we just discussed about the forfeit regime. This is what the newspaper are start to writing. Keep in mind that this month we are going to have the new budget law, Italian budget law, that has to be published within 2 months, so maybe right after Christmas. Let's see if those news are confirmed, and if are confirmed, we are going to have interesting things for our clients. So this could be a very nice solution for your relocation to Italy. So the forfeit regime extended either for 2 years or up to 100,000 euros. Keep in mind that for those who are United States citizen, this is it's quite an interesting solution, because you guys have the earned income exclusion. So you are able to, you have to declare your taxes in the United States, but thanks to the earned income exclusion, you can exclude from taxation the taxes from US and pay only the taxes in Italy. So it might be also interesting for US citizen. Now, the second question, let's say not the question, the second point that we can discuss, it's the impatriate regime. Unfortunately, in the impatriate regime, we don't have any news at the moment. So the new government is not really is not willing to change anything, which is a good news for a certain extent. But what we are willing to have is the clarification for the social contribution. So the social contribution for certain kind of code activity are calculated. We don't know if it's possible to calculate it after having applied the deduction of 90% if you relocate to south of Italy, or 70% if you relocate in the center or north of Italy. So you first remove this big amount of revenue, and then you calculate the social contributions. In theory, you should calculate at the beginning, but there is still a discrepancies between the law and the clarification and the way the INPS, which is the Italian National Social Contribution Institution, say to calculate this social contribution. The ordinary rule is telling us to first reduce the imposable income, remove the 90% of deduction, and then calculate the social contributions. So it's going to be very, very small amount of money to pay. But it goes in contrast with the law of the impatriate regime that actually says that just a fiscal advantages and not a social contribution advantages. So accountants in Italy are split into different thoughts. Who wants to apply the social contribution before? Who wants to apply after? This is something that the INPS has to clarify, and we hope the next year finally to have the clarification on this point. Okay. So this is very important because it will improve the impatriate regime. For a time being, the impatriate regime is always convenient for who has a revenue bigger than 200,000 euros, that's for sure. Even if they pay the entire Social Security on the entire amount, the Social Security has a cap. You cannot pay the Social Security, which is calculating percentage, above 100,000 euro or less. So that's the reason why big revenue is always recommended for the impatriate regime. And when they are below this 100,000 euros, it sometimes is convenient for forfeit regime. And the third point, the third one is the how the Italian government wants to face the problem of the increases of prices and energy. Actually, there are some propositions, give bonuses, or the state, the country should pay the bills for the the trades, for the physical person, for individuals, so in order to reduce the cost of the building. But this is something that is still in discussion in the parliament. Actually, the government has been just created, just is formed. They are discussing right now in the two branch of the parliament. So the parliament just give the trust to the government. So it's something that we need to wait some weeks in order to have a serious proposition on this. What can we do now? How can we reduce the energy prices? It's the following. Who has the chance to purchase a property, an independent property, they have to absolutely provide a solar panel on the roof. The reason why is not just because you reduce your energy, because you produce energy and you sell it back to the network, the energy Italian network. So that's a good thing. But the cost of the installation of the solar panel is deducted against the RPF taxation. So in Italy, you have the tax bracket, you calculate your tax bracket, and then you can reduce your taxes after the calculation. So you have an amount of tax to pay, and this amount of tax to pay can be still reduced against the cost of the solar panel. So, and normally the solar panel at the moment, they have a reduction of 50%. So 50% of the cost of the solar panel can be deducted against taxes in a span of 10 years. So you take the 50%, you divide it by 10 years, and then you subtract every year, again, your RPF taxation. So as you can see, this is the actual general bonus. There are certain differences sometimes. Some slightly improvement of this 50% can be reached 70 or 60% thanks to the super bonus, which are not going to talk right now in this live because in this streaming because it's complicated. But of course, it's one of the things to be taken into account if you want to relocate to Italy for long term because you want to purchase a property. Normally, purchasing a property allows you also to extend the impatriate regime. So when you pay just a little of RPF taxation because you have the impatriate regime, then you can extend by 10 years. You have 10 years in which you can also receive back half of the cost of your solar panel. So think about it. So this is something that we normally propose to our clients. And pretty much that's it. These are the 3 news. If you guys like this content, this kind of small lives, we can do it more and more often. We can actually see if we have somebody connected right now, so we can basically reply to some questions. Thank you, Fausto. You were not here, but maybe the next live will be held by Fausto. Let's reply to one comment here. Will a person living in Italy, dual Italian citizen and US citizen, as a sole proprietor, being paid in US by an American company, be able to take advantage of the impatriate regime? Okay, so you can take advantages of the impatriate regime only if you are required to work in Italy first. So the company has to ask you to work in Italy and has to put in the contract the reason why you have to work in Italy. That's given for granted. But you are talking about as a sole proprietor, so it means that you have your own company. In this case, the best things to do is to close your US company and open the self-employed position in Italy if you want to work as a self-employed or as a freelancer. If you are an employee of a company, then you have to be hired by another company, can be also a US company, and apply the impatriate regime as an employee. So these are the 2 scenarios. The good thing is that between the United States and Italy, there is a convention to also that deal also with the pension, with the Social Security. It means that you can keep paying the Social Security in US and pay taxes in Italy on your payroll. So, and apply for the impatriate regime. It's a bit complicated as an employee, but the law of the impatriate regime also allows you to work for foreign companies that requires you to work in Italy. So it works also with this schema. It's not necessarily an Italian company, an Italian entity that requires you to work in Italy. Okay, so this is clear, crystal clear in the law, so it can be easily verified, and it's something that we also suggest to our client. If you have any question, guys, if you are watching this live after the streaming, in the description below this video, you will have our contact, our email, info@esentaxa.com, to write us, and you can reserve a consultation. You can call us. We can quite understand your detailed situation, your specific scenario. If you have a structure, if you have a companies, you need to relocate to Italy, we can analyze carefully what we are going to do. In our website, www.esentaxa.com, we have published our services. So we have 1 hour call, and we have also the tax simulation, in which we can basically try to simulate what would be your tax burden in Italy based on what kind of regime you can apply. Let's see if we have other questions. We'll definitely be booking a consultation with you guys. Thank you very much. We are here. We have another questions. Other questions, not just one. How much will cost me more or less creating and guiding the company? Okay, I believe you're referring to Italy. So an Italian company, it's an SRL. Of course, has some costs because it has the accountability cost of the VAT, has the notary you have to pay. In Italy, you have to pass through the notary to incorporate the company and the entity. And the cost also depends on your type of business. Okay, so if you have a company that just deal with consultancy, of course has less expenses, it's more easy to manage compared to a company that has to deal with trading or has to deal with e-commerce and this kind of activities. I can give you a range, guys. Can be starting from 3,000 euro per year minimum, but the bare minimum. Keep in mind that then you have to also consider if you want to have some optimization in your administrator payroll in order to reduce your taxes. This is something has to be dealt with your Italian accountant. So the price is not easy to stay away, but minimum 3,000 euro per year, just every year, has to be paid for the company, plus the cost of the corporation, which are some duty stamp taxes, a few hundred euros for that, and the notary, which has a cost of a few thousand euros. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is that the company has to also deal with the constitutions, the dividends things. So there are things that are normally easy to do for a normal accountant firm, but they have to put some employees to follow you guys, because when you have an SRL, it's more important to have an assistance every 3 months, to always talk to your accountant and to see how your business is going. So it's out of a question. We always recommend to our client to behave in this way with their accountant in Italy. Instead, if you open a VAT position, it's way less expensive. Of course, the forfeit regime, if your income is not above 65,000 euro, of course, this regime it's the most suitable, and the prices cannot be more than 1,000 euro per year, something like this. If you apply for the impatriate regime and you need to use the ordinary VAT, which is not a forfeit regime, because the impatriate regime, in order to apply for the impatriate regime as a self-employed, you have to open an ordinary VAT. Then we have an ordinary accountability, VAT accountability, and then the cost can be above 3,000. But it's close to the SRL, but not as much as the SRL. I see other questions. Do you operate in Emilia-Romagna? In case we need a fiscal date, will be easier. Okay, we operate fully online. We have accountant partners everywhere in Italy. We don't really need to have physically somebody in a certain region. This is not a problem. Of course, it would be better in certain cases, but everything can be managed online nowadays. We have the PEC email, which is mandatory now for the businesses. So we will have this email that you will use to communicate with the public administrations, and this replaces the famous mail with the proof of receipt. So the paper, you will replace the paper. And And then everything else can be dealt with the digital identity. So you can access to your fiscal box online. You can have everything, what your accountant has paid, what your the status, your statement. So everything can be basically nowadays accessed online. And also the communication between your accountant and the tax administration, it can be done online for sure. Unless you have a specific audit in which you will be checked on certain specific taxes, or they want to contest you some costs, then you might need physically somebody that talks to some functional tax agency. But if you do everything properly, it's a rare situation. Do many of your accountant partners also speak English? Our accountant partners, they all speak English, of course. Esentaxa, it's all about giving your information in English. We found this hole in the Italian tax agency website. We saw that all the more important information are not in English. That's the reason why we opened this channel. And of course, all our accountant partners can follow you in English language. That's for sure. Okay, guys, I think we can close the streaming. We have already done 20 minutes. If there is something else, I can just stay for a couple of minutes more. And maybe in a comment below, you can let us know the next topics for the next live, for the next streaming. We can basically give you more information. Of course, next weeks, the government will start to define and project and design a budget law 2023, in which we will have more informations and more data about the tax schemes, the tax regime, and in case they also might want to reduce taxes, the general one, the RPF taxation, maybe they want to plan another cut. It's all about waiting a little bit, guys, and we will be happy to update you. So subscribe to the channel, share this channel to your friends if somebody is interested in this topic, please. And I think we can close the stream. And thank you very much for your connections, to be here, to watch this video, and for those who will watch this video afterwards. Thank you, and see you to the next time. Bye.